Let your breath move through you. So almost like a sense of fairy energy. What is it that you're feeling? What is it you're feeling in connection to our crystalline kingdom and nature diva tonight, today, this morning? I think like never before, we say this a lot, but increasingly it feels absolutely true. Like never before, our connection to each other, our connection to earth, our connection to the stability that runs through the mother coming from the sun is so important. And there's a feeling for me of connection in ways that I have not felt it before. Like there's clearer channels, maybe. So as we sit here together in the sacred ground of sovereignty, with a commitment to hold that connection to the mother, to the divine, and say, we're here. We're connected to all that is beyond earth, and we're connected to all that is life forms here on the planet. And we are no longer in survival and in fear. We are cocooned in the sacred of the Guardian Circle protocol, and all that has been awakened for so many reasons, including our work together. What a joyous place to be. So we ask all of those who are aligned to that intention of holding the codes for the future, hearing the codes for the future, listening to the crystalline kingdoms and all that is nature forms, to know how we can best participate in this grand adventure, moving the ship into its true harbor. Let yourself sense and feel the teams that are being attracted to you specifically, the greater collective teams that hold us together in this work. We are a surrogate for the entire network of crystal broadcasters. So that energy field is here to be activated with us, through us. And this space is prepared for that work and intention. And so it is. So for you who came in late, I'm going to show you. I was at the beach. I was at the beach just a minute ago. And this stone said, "Take me home." And I went, "You're too big, you're too big, you're too big." And I went, "Oh my gosh, I've got to take that stone home with me." You can see I put water on some of it. So it's like, okay, pyramid time, right? Pyramid time.
What did you find that in a store? Or did you find that on the beach?
At the beach. My favorite stones are nature stones. You know, I have lots of gemstones, but mine are nature stones. You know, that's my favorite. So I just have a hard time going to the beach without packing stuff back, because they go like, take me, take me, take me. You know, usually they're small, little pocket size. So this was huge. Anyway, so let's do getting yourself into the circle. We've got it set. The field is growing with our presence here, which is wonderful. And so each of you then will go around and just tag, and see Cinda's unmuted. She's going to be first. So Cinda, put yourself in the circle. Whatever you want to bring to expand this field, it's yours, and then you move it around to the next person.
Okay, so I am in Portland. I have been on Zoom since early this morning and I have not been off. I am lit. I am just so lit. I am so happy. So I want to bring into this circle exuberance. And I call upon Sheila.
Go. Unmute. Well, it's good to be back. And last week I wasn't here because my two girls and my grandsons were here. And oh boy, did we have fun. So it's just exciting to be back. So I'll bring into it just joy and laughter. And Susan.
Well, I am in Lonsdale, Minnesota. I am here for the week visiting the grandkids. We're having a blast. I'm going to toss in some fairy magic. We have been immersed in fairies here. We are building a fairy grid today to make fairy water for our fairy garden, because you know gardens need water. And of course, if it's a fairy garden, Penelope said we need fairy water. So, and then we have our magical grace mixture, our little dirt. We're going to go walk around the house and we're going to bless it with all our little fairies today. So bringing in the fairy magic. Arlie.
Well, I'm just outside Wellington, New Zealand. And it's amazing that everybody is bringing in all this happiness and joy, because joy was the first thing that came to my mind to contribute to the circle too. And all this talk about grandkids, I think is also a great energy to chuck into the circle. I pick up my grandson today, right after this is over. So yeah, I'm bringing the joy of life, the day, sun, the area, everything, and a special shout out to grandkids. And who hasn't gone yet? Kelly.
Hello, Kelly from White Salmon, Washington, and I'm so excited to be here. I've missed so many of these, and I was like, oh, I gotta be there today. So I want to bring in magic, and I'm going to spell it with a K, magic. Lovely, lovely. All right, Margie, how about you?
I'm Margie, Sandy, Utah. Another lovely hot day in Sandy, although they tell us we only have another week or so before fall starts to hit. In my world, I've been doing a lot of holding space for processing change. So I'm certainly really valuing the joyful piece you're all throwing in, the magic, the fairy. But for me, we're going to throw in processing change. I think that brings us to Sharon.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Processing change, of course, is a big one. This is the first day that I felt a little bit lighter in relationship to processing change. And I'm really grateful for that. Although I know we're not through with the change yet. It's going to keep moving on and moving on. But today it feels like I have my feet under me for something. So that feels good. And I don't remember who recommended this book called The Great American Forest. But as you can see, it's an older book. And it's really quite amazingly wonderful, because it's talking about, 6 and 7 and million years ago, here were these trees that they're finding fossilized, and they're the same trees, the same seeds, the same that's here, and here, and Asia and the Appalachia have the same trees. It's like the trees, along with minerals, have been here forever. And every once in a while, people show up. We come and we go, but the trees are here, and they've been all over the planet. The trees that we think are unique here, not. They're in China, and then they're in Japan, and it's just been a fun read. to realize that, I don't know, just to realize nature again, I guess, and that she's there and she's been there, and the plants are stable, and if they're stable, the minerals, I'm sure if I were going to read a book about the mineral kingdom and the crystalline kingdom, we would find the same thing. Like all of a sudden, we think this is unique. It's over here. Well, how did it get over here? How did, and I don't know, it's really interesting and fun. And so what we've been doing but I think this is the third one. For the last two, we've been in our journeys letting ourselves be taken by those who are in the crystalline kingdom, who have something they want to say through us or activate through us, because we are the point of authority voice, and let that be what we do in our journeys. And I think that's been really, really important. And what I'm feeling today, at least for me, I'm going to put it out there, I really want to go into the future again. Because with all the rocking and rolling, all the energy rocking and rolling, I want to check to see if there's anything in the future that we need to re-anchor or add to or refine. And that doesn't leave out the mineral kingdom's participation in that. It's like they're part of our team now. But of course, we're never attached to where we're taken, because that's not our intention. Our intention is that whatever it is in that participation in the broadcasting, and we've assumed it was broadcasting into the future or the future broadcasting into us, but whatever in that nature region is highest and best in this moment, to keep this ship of humanity stabilized and moving to the end result of alignment and restoration to our divine nature, whether you call it our star families, our galactic beginnings, or whatever we call it. That's what I'm going to put out. And before we journey, I've just opened the field. If there's anything you're sensing that needs to be in that field of information, just unmute yourself and speak it into the field. Okay, so this is the adventure. We know we can go into the unknown. It's okay for us, right? It's really so much more fun than having to figure it out. So, again, feeling yourself in that intentional circle we set, sacred ground of sovereignty. All of the energy that is within the protocols of the guardian circles. The intention of moving, bringing back whatever it is that we are best prepared to do in this moment of time for our movement into that future of our divine reflection of good, meaning we humanity, the I, the we collective of all. You just feel it's like a delight, a playfulness, whatever your team, sense what your team is bringing to you, because these beings have integrity and they have strength and clarity. No fear here, no fear, no anxiety. Just get a sense of their presence. If you want, you can invite them to be even closer to you so that you feel their presence, whatever you need from them as you begin this journey. All that we have set for our own safety, protection, clarity is absolutely call forth for those that we love, for our families, our companions, our communities, our networks. We are all here in that space of safety, love, and channel the good. So notice who shows up. Are they familiar or new faces, new places with the old? Notice the path that begins to draw your attention. Is it the same or is there a new one? What we're opening also is the recognition that our voice, our physical voice, is so important to our journey. So, as we're all going to be muted, if you feel to speak words, to hum, this is opening up in so many the need to be heard by your own voice. So just notice what's new, what's different, what's the same. When you feel complete with what you're called to do, and you can bring yourself back to our beginning circle journal and be ready to share and anchor together. So we'll see you back in that place of beginning when you're complete. So let's start with Susan. How about you?
Immediately, I guess I wasn't really sure. I just kind of, I was puzzled. So all of a sudden, Archangel Michael came in, and I'm like, well, where are we going? What direction are we taking? And he just kept saying the word embodiment, that we need to, there's so many distractions, that in order to continue to be sovereign and keep that bridge clear between this world and the future, that we need to be more aware of assisting people to embody the new energy that's coming in. Mass consciousness is so distracted. We're feeling the new vibrations and the new energies, and it's filtering through us, but now it's time to beacon that out. So he had me putting tiny circles, and I went over the map of the United States, and I started up in the Northeast. And I was just drawing little circles over each state. There was probably 6 or 7 circles on each state, and they were just circles of light. And then we went to Europe, and each country there, we were putting little circles all around. I asked what the circles were for, and no one answered. They just kept saying, hold the frequency. They were circles of light, hold the frequency, circles of light. And then the star nations came in, and I just started doing light language, and whatever that message may be, whatever that frequency is, I think it helps support the bridge between here and securing that future, because he just kept that protection grid. I've never seen him come through when we've traveled with this sense of this huge field in front of us of protection, as they were talking about the distractions and the purging and the bubbling and the intensity that's coming. And so that was interesting. So I am complete. Kelly.
So this was fascinating. So first of all, I started moving really, really fast. Like my hands were like moving really fast. And so I associated that with the fairy energy. But where I was taken was to the land of the stone people, and I've never, it's like the stone people, so I could see all these stone people in a way, but they weren't really people, but in my, I mean, they're called stone people. And so there are these stones, and I'm like, well, this I've never, I typically go way out here. So to be in a more grounded setting was really fascinating to me. And so what I saw was these, well, if you want to say the fairy energy, almost being like little gnats and bothersome to these stones, and being like going around and landing on them and giggling and like waking them up and tickling them. It was really kind of joyful and funny. But some of these old cranky stones kind of shaking it off. I feel like I was in a Disney movie. I don't know why that's been a theme lately, but there's like shaking it off. But what was interesting was I've really been feeling myself like there's this huge shift, like this polarity shift happening. And what I'm seeing is that these stones are being pulled from where they have been, these stone people. It's like they're being pulled in a different way that they're not even accustomed to. That they're like, it's like this, kind of like, think of like a big wheel on a safe, you know, like how you turn that big safe wheel. It's like there's this cranking that's happening, and these stone people are being shifted, and they're a little irritated by it. They're being woken from like this slumber. So it's like they're waking up kind of cranky. That's kind of what I was just being shown. So that was it, the stone people. And I'm complete, and I will tag Arlie.
Well, I saw a huge crystal. It was a ball in the blackest of space, and it had the little lumpy sorts of crystals in it, like the stone apophyllite that you showed us last week. That's the popcorny look. And those glittered with rainbows, little rainbows, that kind of reminded me of this spray that some crystals in stores, they're very popular with 13-year-old girls. You spray on this rainbow coating onto a crystal, and it looks pretty, but it's totally artificial. But these were a little bit brighter, but it was that kind of a, you turn it and it has a sheen, not like that thing I saw in space that was radiating rainbows. So I had the feeling that this thing was in matrix on the back side. Okay, just around where I couldn't see. I knew that it was still in matrix, and that part was black, and it was out there in space. And then suddenly it started raining these little popcorn bits of crystal down upon the earth, and they started landing all over the earth, little bits of light in all these different places around the earth. And they were communicating with each other, and they were communicating with the mother crystal in, you know, kind of a communication grid, and they're reaching out to the people, putting energy in there. So let's see. Then I asked what else, and I saw that the earth was surrounded, encased completely in another crystalline form that I recognized as being celestite, which is a blue crystal that has points. And I don't know what celestite is supposed to stand for. It's supposed to be just that it's pretty. I can show some to you if you're interested. Should I go get it? Okay. So this is an extra big crystal. Most of it looks kind of like this. And the blue shade isn't coming through, but it's a beautiful shade of sky blue. So I saw that the whole entire earth was encased in this, and it was like nothing's getting out and nothing's getting in. It was sandwiched between the light below and this up above, It's a complete circle around the earth. You can't escape the changes that are coming. The work that is coming is going to affect everyone. And even if you are not attuned at all and are totally into material possessions, whatever it is that keeps you from being a more spiritual person, work is being done and you're going to be changed. So then I was waiting for more of a message, and I was taken back to the big crystal in the sky, and I realized that that big crystal was kind of womb-like, that the more light that she dropped, the more of those crystals she had to drop. So it's a still creative process that's ongoing, and there's as much as we need, we will be given to make these changes. And yeah, we're going to be helped by the focusing, I guess this is interpretation, this isn't necessarily what I was told or shown, by being with the Celestine above and the crystals below. And so I asked, is that all? And I was told that is all. So that's where I went, and that's what I did. And Sheila.
Well, I just immediately fell back into the silence of the crystal cave that I've been experiencing the last couple of times we've been together. And I didn't go anywhere. I just held a real strong sense of power and light. So that was it. Margie?
Well, sometimes you don't know where you're going, you know? I started to immediately see, even Sharon, while you were still talking, that I was part of a large group of people in form, but there was more spiritual beings, like in a collective of all of us. And we were engaged in a process of pushing. It really felt like hard work, almost pushing this really large, it looked like a boulder, but I realized at some point it probably was a very steep ascent. I mean, it was like straight up vertical. And I realized it was probably metaphor for the earth itself. But it was like we were pushing this really large boulder up this very steep ascent, and it felt very heavy. But I was really felt the presence of so many of those female goddess energies who are with those in form, pushing this really large boulder up this really steep ascent. It felt like work. There was those moments when it really felt like work, pushing it up this very sharp vertical incline. And then I heard these words that said, we're almost to the last push. Remember, the higher we go, the easier it becomes. And that there would become a point of shift, like there will be a moment where we tip the scale over from heavy to light, weighty, dark to light, however you want to word that. And as we do that, we will arrive literally at New Earth. It was like we're on the last descent, pushing up to New Earth. And then when I ask about what else, was there any message beyond how, that was really clear to me how much help we have, that we're also very much engaged in this upward ascent. And I felt like so much spiritual help as well, to remember that even though we're on a really sharp vertical rise, that we're almost to the last push. You know, we're in that process just before we arrive. And then that's what they said to me. Remember, we're almost there. So that was really encouraging. I think, Cinda, we must be over to you.
Mine was really odd, because when I was waiting for my team to arrive to travel with me, Donald Trump showed up. And I'm like, what? You're going to be my guide? And he was oblivious that I was even there. And I said, what is going on? What am I meant to see? What am I seeing here? And then Archangel Michael, Susan, arrived, and I went, sweet, what are we doing? And it said, he's not our guide, we're his. So we took, so I thought, oh, because I really was asking to be taken into the future, Sharon, because of what you sort of started with. And I said, oh, I assume we're going to take Trump into the future to show him what he's creating for all of us and hold him accountable for it. But then I realized Michael said, no, we're taking him back. And like 4 different versions of Archangel Michael showed up with his swords drawn to flank him. So Trump was in the middle, and he was escorted back to 2014 when he was approached to run for office. And so I'm sort of watching these people approach him and, you know, sort of put this in his head about what he might be able to, you know, what he could do for the country, and that he's going to be the chosen one, and how they fed his ego, and how these 2 young YouTubers were there saying how they're going to work to make this happen and make the population believe in him. And I witnessed the creation of this conspiracy theory start right there in 2014. And how they fed Trump's ego and fed him and fed him and fed him. And so I thought, all right, we need to change this. I mean, it was so nauseating. And so I freeze framed it. And then I called in the PTO to change it and to send that energy back where it came from. And then to take and transform all of that which fed his ego to make him feel like he was the chosen one that was going to make all this change. And it's just really, it was so sickening. I mean, I don't know, I'm just having a real reaction to it. But I said, all right, what do we do when we're here? And the Michaels that were surrounding him said, we need to pull all that he has created, all that he has polluted, all this conspiracy theory stuff. We need to pull it from the present moment and the projection into the future, and we need to pull it back to where it all started. So each of them had this vacuum type thing where they just started to pull, and I could literally see the energy of all of these lies and all of this manipulation coming back through time. I mean, just like a suction. I mean, you could see these energies, and I went, oh my God, this is it. Because the prayer has been, you know, may the truth be revealed, may the truth be revealed, may the veil be lifted, may the veil be lifted, may the masks be removed, may we see it for what it is. And it just was being pulled back to where it all started. And then, you know, I just watched and I watched and I watched and I held space for it, hoping that it was real. And I was like this, and out loud, Sharon, out loud, I was using my voice. May this be real. May this be true. May this be real. May this be true. May this be so. May this be so. Just, you know, and then, you know, there have been so many reputations that have been harmed, good people who've been harmed by these lies. And so we took him, flanked by the Archangel Michaels with their swords drawn. We took this energy of Trump and we showed him, we made him look and see the division that he's caused, the controversy, the white supremacy, we just showed all of it to him. And I hope that he could see and witness from this perspective. And And so then when it got to November, the Archangel Michael gave him two choices. And one was, either you make amends and you make this better, and then you need to make this better, or you bow out now. So those are your only two choices. Either you bow out, you bow down, and you ask for forgiveness, or you move forward with the intention to make it better. But there's no other alternative. It's only those two, period. And I didn't see whether or not he got reelected, but if he chose to make it better, there was a huge shift in the dynamics, because what had been sucked out was no longer fueling him. And the whole time that this was happening, there is this gigantic horsefly that is just flying around me, just flying around. It's still right here. It just keeps hitting the window. I mean, it's just like, it knows shit when it sees it. It's just like this giant fly. And I'm like, do I kill it? What do I do? It's like whatever this was that I witnessed attracted this giant fly. Ugh. Anyway, so yeah, that was it. I'm complete. Sharon.
Okay, so it was like there was this very, very tall being, but was a nature diva. I've often had, galactic beings or spaceship beings show up, but this was very tall, but it was definitely a nature diva. And they said, welcome, we're so glad. And he's speaking to what we're doing. We're so glad you have awakened more deeply to our presence and participation. And I said to him, humanity's a mess. It truly is a mess. But I'm not giving up on humanity, and I'm not giving up on the earth. So whatever we have to do to get humanity, restore it to its correct resonance of partnership, what is it that I'm to do? And they said, hold the lantern like those lights. Hold the lantern of truth. Recognizing that there are those in humanity who are so crippled that they probably will not survive in the bodysuit. And it's not because of anything on their part, except they've been willing to show us the crippling is there, and therefore their bodies have been crippled. So they said, let go of that worry about life and death, because there are some bodysuits that are so crippled that they really need to be let go of. So they said, in this whole process, remember the 11th hour protocol. And the 11th hour protocol is based on what they told me as I put together a program for children, that we all create our birth plan. We all create and bring in a percentage, a certain amount of what I call negative stuff, ours, our family's psyche, but whatever, in order to bring it in to command it away. And none of us pretty much have, certainly not in developed countries, we haven't had those grandmothers and aunties and moms connected to that remembrance of singing away those patterns that were marked, 90% marked for removal. So a lot of the crippling is also because that wasn't done. So the 11th hour protocol just brings in a special healing team that says, go through and all of the negative karma patterns that were marked before birth to be removed with a song or a spoken word, get it done, so that those who leave will not leave with that was intended to be healed, and then let go. Whether they live or die, they will be fine. They said the point isn't life or death. It's not. The point isn't holding on to all humanity in life, in bodies. The point is ending the outsiders and the crippling that they have done, so that the agenda for the future is resonance to divine. And that's how it will happen. And they said, what we need to be aware of, to ask ourselves, what ships are you being called to captain? And I realized when Susan was talking, those ships are the circles. So what ship, what circle, what aspect of truth are you being called to captain, and do it well? Because we are in this culture that says this ship and this ship and this ship and this ship. So we begin to recognize all of the ships, all of the circles as part of that wholeness. And they said that's what the culture of the Sacred Ground Collective has created. The whole new, which is what we had intended, that we are holding a space, creating intentionally a culture in which that can happen. And then I just wanted to let you know, Archangel Michael has been in charge, or the touch point. He's not in charge. There's not such a thing as in charge, but he has been the touch point for the PTO teams for many, 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 many years. So when he shows up, he brings with him that discernment of the PTO, the entire PTO team. So that's what I got. Nothing about worrying about the future. We're going there. What ship are you captaining? So I'm complete. So I'm going to open the floor, and whatever you want to, feel emerging from. And I realized I muted myself. So anyone who wants to speak about what is coming up in addition to that,
Cinda, I just want to say that I'm right with you when you say, let this be true, let this be real, let this be true. Yeah.
I think we all are.
Yeah, I just think there's been so much harm that's been done, and it didn't occur to me ever to, when Trump first showed up, I just thought, oh, he's going to be my guide. Wouldn't this be interesting to see things through his eyes? And I really did not want to. And then it was like, no, we're going to guide him, and we're just going to make him see. Because his head has been so filled with this grandiose lies, and they were using his narcissism to manipulate him to get what they needed and to get what they wanted. And I was just right there, and I said, well, what am I supposed to do? And then it was like, duh. Like, okay, PTO remove. But I tell you, when they were pulling, the Michaels were pulling from the present into the past, where it all started, just sucking it all out. I don't know. It was like, please don't let me be making this up. Please let this be real. Please let this be real. Please let this be real. Yeah, but I'm something to this fly that's hanging out with me right now. I look like a ghost.
Lots of light. Lots of light. How about let's change it from let this be true to the same, our declaration is that this is true. This
Our
is
declaration is that this is true. This is true.
anchored, it is activated because we have spoken it.
It felt, it was real. It was real. It is real. I just feel it. I feel it. Now I want to see it.
Yeah. Really.
In my shamanic work, anytime there's a fly present, it's lies. It's deceit. So whenever you have a fly, it shows, it's another validation of what Trump is. It's just in the fact that he's a big guy and he's being persistent. Flies are always showing the depth of the treachery or whatever it is on the other side. So
Yeah, it's exactly what it feels like. It's just like when the second I invited him into my space, this giant fly, it's heavy. It's having trouble, you know, and it's trying to get out of the window.
You know, there are some of our divine families who have become turncoats over time. And so they have in the past had ownership, like dual citizenship. So they could give permission for things to be done of dark because they had dual citizenship. And we've declared that is no longer true. If they have done a degree of turncoatness and gone to the agenda of domination, they lose the citizenship of the divine family because they've chosen differently. And I tell you right now that anyone who is either a turncoat, a clone, or of the dominations have not a care of how much destruction they've made. They don't care. That is not even in their ability to know. So the fact that you gave him the opportunity, Cinda, is that's what you would do, because you have that ability to say like, oh my gosh, look what I've done. You gave him that opportunity.
But you're saying he doesn't care. Yeah, no, I can tell he doesn't.
But that, and it's just another indication of that vibrational, because that's how the PTO, their ability to discern vibrations is so refined. That's why they have never been invaded. That's why their world in the galactic world has never been invaded. That's why they offer their services here, because they were so refined. They knew at a whisper. They knew deceit. They never were deceived. So we can give, we can say, we don't know what, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, but the PTO team says, fine, and any energy at all is gone, because that's our decree. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And Arlie, your vision of it just seems so grace-like. So much of what you were bringing in just seems so much like grace. The opalescence, the rainbows, the dropping of all of that. That sort of, when I visualize grace, that's what I see. I see this rainbow opalescence. And Susan, didn't you use celestialite in the spray? No. Okay. So I just see that energy. I think that what you were helping to do was spread her. Drop, 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 drop.
Wow. Great Monday afternoon and evening and morning, whatever time we are on the planet. Next week, because this is critical and valuable, what I've been told is we are holding the womb of the earth, and the earth is in our womb. And in that womb, we have the opportunity to sing away any negative that's marked for the earth that can be eliminated by our song and our prayers and our singing and our chanting, as well as eliminating any of the outsiders' attachments that have been here. And so that before she births on that, when we're, it's like she won't have it with her, because we're not the midwives, we're the womb. And that's what the Sacred Ground Collective has created, a womb in which all of this is a different fluid, a different energy, a collective, a field that the earth is being held within as the birth happens.
What is next week, Sharon? Why next week? What?
It's just another day. It's another Monday. It's another crystal broadcasting Monday.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think we've set an end time. I think we've said, we knew like the next 6 months, so there's at least 5 more months. We knew that there was it wasn't time to say, okay, let's just go back to once a month. So that's why I just mentioned it. Yeah, we're still on the up.
Well, and in the book that some of us are reading called The Way of the Rose, they talk about how the Divine Mother, Mother Mary, is also the Divine Mother Earth. And they don't bring in Gaia, but they're almost saying it is so similar, but that, and to bring in your thing with the Sophia and the Lilith, and that we are it is, I think, the Trinity of grace and Gaia and the Sophia, Mary, Lilith, us, being the womb and holding the space, literally. They need us to be that conduit. I mean, I feel that so strongly. The Gaia and the grace need us to be that living representation of them on the earth, to do and channel and give birth to the new world. I feel it.
Yeah, the divine feminine is the triad. I truly believe that. I've never related to divine feminine until those three came together. And they came together with the Sophia piece, the restoration of our voice. Not all women have that total or bigger understanding of the authority voice, but they're still using their voice. But those of us who understand that the authority is within the female to speak, declare, design, set policy, create the garden, that's Sophia, and that's what was crushed in the Garden of Eden. And by having that piece back, it was a critical piece so that the triad could come together. And it's the triad that they each represent each other, and it's a completeness now.
Yeah,
that's what I get.
I feel it.
Yeah, and in that way, divine feminine makes sense. Goddess makes sense now. It's this for me,
Yeah.
Woo! Oh, hey, joy, laughter. Susan's got a date with her grandson tonight. Now, how good is that? And I had a Zoom baby shower yesterday for my first great grandson. So, grandchildren. Why we do this isn't just for ourselves, right?
Will you be able to see Andrea while she's in town? Are you?
Yes, she's going to be in isolation with Diana up in the mountains. They're going to do some things for 2 weeks, but because she drove rather than flew, there's less worry about but then she'll be out and about for about a month here for a while.
Wow, that's great. So she'll be in isolation, so then she can come visit Michelle and be safe with her. Yeah. Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, we'll do that. All that stuff anyway, but social distancing. Okay, loves. Get ships. Know what your ships are. I want to know what the ships are at some point in time. What is it you're being called to captain? Don't you think?
Oh, does anyone have any ideas yet? What are your ships? What are your ships? I mean, I think maybe we should even declare it right now. What's your ship, Sharon?
My ship is the Galactic Game Board. I've got it again today on the beach. Galactic Game Board, get on it. Share it.
I think I'm the sacred Trinity. I think my ship is to make sure that people are aware of that, because I am bringing the Trinity into also really focusing on the wholeness of healing, mind, body, spirit. Everywhere I go right now, it's that Trinity, bringing in the divine feminine, Grace, Gaia, Sophia, Mary, the Trinity of mighty body, mind, and spirit. I don't know.
Anybody else know their ship?
What?
I said, anybody else know their ship? And of course, we might be given a different ship next week, but think about it.
What are your ships, Kelly?
How many ships can we man? Can we man a lot? Because I feel like,
Are you a Gemini? Do you have Gemini in your energy
oh
field?
yeah, I'm a
Well, then
Gemini.
you have at least 3.
Oh, I've probably got more than that, but I'll fine tune it and report next time because I can't just have one.
No, Geminis can't have just one for sure. Anybody else got an idea coming to it though?
I'm riding the fairy ship this week. We're just gonna hang out with Peter Pan, and we're just going for it. We're just gonna spread love and joy and peace and help that embodiment just bring that crystalline energy down here and help everybody absorb. And
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Anyone else? Margie, what's your ship?
You know, I would say for me, I'm being really powerfully called to embody the energy of grace.
Yes, I knew you were going to say that. I knew.
Yeah, and the power of that. But you know, there are days I feel very imperfect at it. So.
But she's not.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Grace is not imperfect.
Well, then, I'm feeling called to that. Although I will tell you, I really feel powerfully about truth speaking as well. Those 2 prongs seem to fit for me.
Sheila, you're unmuted. What are you going to say?
No. Well, I don't know when I'll be back, guys. School has already called. It starts up next week. So actually the end of this week. So I'll see you when I see you next time. And I'll let you know what ship I'm on.
Yeah, be aware. Be aware. Even you could. We don't have a well, we do have a Facebook page. It's on the Sacred Ground Collective projects, so we could always shout out through that. It's not a private page, but I don't know that it needs to be. Artie, you got something brewing?
Well, put on the spot, I would have to say
That's
that
what I'm doing.
have to do with opening to connection and opening to the possibility of change, and kind of being a mirror to show people change is possible. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel all that firm. So I have to see what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's good.
I think if I could visualize Arlie's ship, you've been, so many of your visions have had these giant asteroid type crystals, things in the sky. I think that you're straddling, one of those giant, gorgeous crystalline meteorites, that it's an actual crystalline ship and you're just shooting beautiful, energetic, crystalline energy wherever you go.
Yeah, well, it definitely could be that I'm opening New Zealand to the possibilities of woo-woo to an extent that they have never experienced woo before. I've already put my book club on warning, and they're like, they're going to be here on Saturday, and I was thinking, oh, this could be a lot of fun for these old ladies.
Arlie, what took you